It was impossible to not be hyped up as 39 drivers took the green in the Daytona Summer Race. With 15 of them being in, 3 of them could get in with a win or points, and 13 of them just needing to win. It was bound to be an amazing race, and there's nothing quite better than Daytona in the summer. Unless they put it back on the 4th of July, but we're not going to talk about that. Stage 1 ended up being mostly tame, though, as it never really went 3 wide and the pushes didn't get too out of hand. The Fords and Toyotas were able to find their way to the front, but the Chevys weren't. And that kind of happened all night, as the Chevys never really seemed to have it, with the Fords and Toyotas outrunning them the entire evening. Anyways, as they went into turn 3, Denny Hamlin was leading, but Kevin Harvick jumped to his outside, trying to get the stage win, and they went 3 wide, with Hamlin eventually going back down the middle. This gave way to Martin Truex Jr., though, and as Christopher Bell pushed him, he was able to take the stage win, in a paint scheme that I actually kind of like.
Win stage 1 of Daytona.
When they dropped the green flag for stage 2, the drivers decided it was time to race, as they ended up going 3 wide very quickly and stayed that way about 10 rows deep for most of the stage, even after Ricky Stenhouse almost turned Chase Elliott in front of the field. And here's where I'll mention that NBC decided to take multiple full-screen commercial breaks during what was easily the best superspeedway racing we've had since the Gen 6. And as they went down the backstretch on the final lap of Stage 2, Ryan Blaney jumped to Ty Gibbs' inside, and with pushes from Brad Keselowski, he was able to take the lead until Gibbs was turned down into Blaney, which caused the big one up off of Turn 4, ending the night for many.
Off the nose of Ty Gibbs, and the big one happens behind him.
And it brought so many people into it.
This was a huge hit for Ryan Blaney, and it kind of showed as he didn't quite seem to be his normal self in his post-race interview. And when you couple that with the fact that he had that hard crash at Nashville, it's hard to not be worried for him right now. It's even more eerie when you think about the fact that he hit in a very similar spot in the exact same way that Dale Sr. did in the wreck that killed him back in the 01 500. Also, I'm not a huge Chase Elliott fan, but he did do a pretty good job avoiding that crash, which in my opinion started by Ty Gibbs running out of talent.
Where the car looks like it's getting uncomfortable and out of control, massive.
Huge hit.
Massive
Ryan
hit.
Blaney.
They dropped the green for Stage 3, and it immediately began train racing. They came into the pits with about 15 to 13 laps to go, but when they came out, we had one of the craziest crashes in Daytona history.
Down goes a couple cars. Preece upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass. Ryan Preece upside down.
This was one of the wildest flips we've ever seen in Daytona history, as his car rotated at least 10 times and climbed probably 20 feet in the air. Even the replays are hard to watch, even though we know that, thankfully, he is okay. The field would roar back to life, though, with Kevin Harvick on the inside lane and Chris Buescher on the outside lane, getting pushed by his teammate Brad Keselowski. I think we all knew who was going to get the jump here, as Kevin Harvick had 2 Chevys behind him, and they really hadn't had it all night. And with a train of 4 Fords on the outside, Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski leading it, you pretty much knew that they were going to get the jump, and they did up off of 2 as Kevin Harvick almost got into Brad Keselowski. It was pretty much it at this point, as Brad Keselowski just pushed his teammate to his 3rd win in 5 races, even as Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, and others tried to make moves.
I think he gets back there to the 17.
As they come to the tri-oval, Buescher's going to win at Daytona.